Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Live. This is our brand new program we're planning to do on Thursdays for the foreseeable future right now. And of course, this grows out of what used to be, well, it started off as DCC Daily, remember, way back in March when the lockdown first happened. And then it became DCC Today, which was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that continued up until just before Christmas. And now we're going to go to this Thursday Live program. One of the reasons we wanted to do a live program again is we know there are late-breaking things. In fact, I'll be talking about one of those here in just a few minutes. And sometimes the pre-recorded programs just didn't give us enough flexibility. And so we felt this would be a way that we could talk to all of you and give you kind of the latest news. We decided to do it Thursday because our staff meets on Wednesdays, and we felt that by this morning we would pretty well know what was coming up for the weekend. So I'm glad you joined us, whether you're joining us live or if you're watching this later on. I hope that this is helpful to all of you. We're kind of making this up as we go. I guess this morning we should talk some about headlines. You've all been looking at the news, I'm sure, seeing what's been going on in our nation's capital. And I just have to say that for me, yesterday was just a shameful thing to watch. I'm going to have some more to say about some of this in my sermon on January 17th, not this Sunday, the Sunday after. Not so much our national politics as where do we as Christians stand in the midst of all of this. But as I've thought about what is going on in our nation right now and what perhaps our immediate response should be as followers of Jesus, I thought I would start with a passage of Scripture this morning, something for you to meditate on. This comes out of 1 Timothy chapter 2, the first 4 verses. Paul said to Timothy, "I urge you, first of all, to pray for all people. Ask God to help them. Intercede on their behalf and give thanks for them. Pray this way for kings and all who are in authority, so that we can live peaceful and quiet lives marked by godliness and dignity. This is good and pleases God our Savior, who wants everyone to be saved and to understand the truth." That seems like a pretty appropriate prayer for all of us to be praying, that we would pray for all who are in authority, and that we would pray that there would be peace restored to our nation, that we'd be able to lead peaceful lives, and our lives be marked by godliness and dignity. So I would just encourage you to be praying, continue praying for our nation today, that God would restore peace and that we'd conduct ourselves with godliness and dignity at all times. Well, let's shift gears a bit to something more uplifting. When we first started the daily program, I started off featuring different photos of the day. And we've been doing that for months now. Many of you that have been watching that program have been sending photos in to share. And I thought we would just kind of continue that. Now, since Shane Simonson has come on board, we have a new camera club that started up. And I've been joining in with that. It's been really fun to see how many of you are interested in photography, and we've got some wonderful photographers in our congregation. And so I'm going to tap into the camera club to share a photo with us each week. And the camera club, if you're interested, they meet on the third Monday of each month. And they've been meeting in Zoom. I think they're going to go to in-person meetings at the next meeting coming up. But if you love photography, would like to be part of that, just get hold of Shane. You can write him to shane@dcchurch.org, and you can get the details on how you can be part of the camera club. The photo that I've chosen for today is one that was actually sent to me a few weeks back by Kurt Bidinger. And Kurt, I've discovered, is an excellent bird photographer, and he had sent this picture in of a blue jay. And it reminded me of some words of Jesus, maybe good words, especially right now while there's a lot of chaos going on. You recall that Jesus at one point reminded his followers that they should not be consumed by worry, because he said that his Father cares for and oversees even things like sparrows when they fall to the ground. And he finished that little lesson with these words. He said, "Fear not, therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows." So whether we're talking about sparrows or blue jays, God cares about them, and he cares about us. And Jesus' counsel is we shouldn't be consumed by worry. Speaking of birds, I got to tell you, just the nice thing with live shows is I can give you late-breaking stuff, and one of the late-breaking things was a bird drama that happened this morning as I was pulling into the church parking lot. There's a big tree right out the corner of Eberly and Dungeness Way, and as I was pulling in, I looked up and I realized there was a big eagle sitting at the top of the tree. But right below the eagle, there was a crow. And so I went into the office, I came back out a few minutes later, and now there was an eagle, a crow, and a hawk, all sitting in the same tree together. I went back in the office, I came out to come over here to get ready to do this program, and it had changed. Now there were 2 eagles in the tree, 2 crows in the power line next to the tree, and the hawk sitting a little farther down watching all of them. So that has been the bird drama of this morning here at DCC. But I'm just reminded that whether it is hawks and eagles or sparrows, God is the wonderful creator that is in charge of it all, including our lives and even our nation. Well, let's talk about upcoming events. And we can't really talk about upcoming events without first talking about Governor Inslee's new Healthy Washington reopening plan. You probably know that that was announced early this week. And here's what we know right now. We know that churches can still meet with services up to 25% of their capacity or 200 people, whichever is less. Now, in our case, those are one and the same number. So there really is no change in terms of church gatherings, maximum occupancy. Groups now can meet for Bible study for religious purposes in homes in groups of up to 5 people, as long as they're observing masks and distancing and all of those good practices. I would say that if you're part of a home Bible study and you're meeting under those guidelines, I just encourage you to also be mindful of your neighbors and what are they seeing, what's being communicated to them. I think that's an important thing for us to keep in mind. Now, larger groups, larger than 5, can meet here at the church. Again, you need to observe wearing masks and distancing, but larger groups can meet here for Bible studies and things. Now, one of the things that we're still not clear about is the issue of group singing. The prior set of guidelines that came down said that in church services, there should not be group singing. And it's understandable. There are very few other activities where you have a large group of people, maybe 200 people, that would all be exhaling forcibly for a prolonged period of time in the same room. So I understand why they did that. Is it effective? Does it solve the problem? I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that, but I understand why. Now, what we don't know is if that guideline still applies to the new Healthy Washington plan. Under that prayer guideline, all you could do was have one soloist in a mask singing. So we're still waiting for clarification on some of this. I have been in communication with the Clallam County Health Department. I've had some good communication with Dr. Unthank, and I think they're waiting for more clarification as well. So stay tuned on that one. In light of these developments, the Elder Board met Monday afternoon, and they've given the green light for resuming gatherings in accordance with these new guidelines. So here's what that means. In terms of Sunday worship, we are going to resume in-person services this Sunday, January 10th. We will have a single service at 9 a.m. That's what we were doing before the lockdown back in, what was that, early November. We were doing one service at 9 a.m. And based on that, we don't believe we need to do reservations. The numbers were such that we were handling that fine with that one service. So if you would like to come to an in-person service, that will be available this Sunday morning at 9 a.m. As we were doing prior, we'll be using the pre-recorded music. And until we have more clarification, we won't be doing congregational singing. We'll just be enjoying and worshiping as we listen, and we can pray with that. If we get clarification that tells us different, then we'll for sure change. And then I'll be preaching live, of course, at that service. Our online services will still be available just like they have been. And if you've been getting the service on DVD, those DVDs will still be available as well. So you can plan on that for this Sunday morning, a service at 9 a.m. here at DCC. Now, other groups that are going to be meeting. Our youth are going to be starting their meetings up. Darren is still making some decisions about exactly when, where, and how that's going to happen. So if you're a family, if you've got youth, high school, junior high youth in our program, just stay tuned and Darren will be in touch with all of you to let you know the plan for that. Celebrate Recovery is going to be starting again on Wednesday evenings here at the church. They'll be starting up on January 13th at 6 p.m., meeting in our main auditorium. The Surf Ministry will also again be meeting in person on Wednesday nights, also at 6 p.m., but they'll be meeting in the chapel. Our women's ministry, they started their new study, and that actually started this morning. Well, there's a Thursday morning group. There's also a Tuesday night group. I think the Tuesday night group started this week as well. Up to this point, that has all been online, but we are going back to having it both on Zoom, and at least for Thursday morning, there is a hybrid group that is meeting in the chapel. And what that means is they're using this very neat little device called the OWL that allows that live group to be part of the Zoom group that's meeting online. And so they are all meeting together, some in person, some by Zoom. The Tuesday night women's group, I'm actually not sure yet if they are meeting in person or online only or doing a hybrid. So if you've been involved with the Tuesday night women's group, and if you don't already have the word, I'd say just get in touch with your leaders to find out what their plan is. The men's Saturday Bible study with Rick York, they are also going to be resuming on January 16th at 8 a.m. They'll be meeting in the chapel. And if you've been part of a group that has not been meeting, and I haven't mentioned them in this list, just get hold of your group leader to find out what their plan is. There are several groups that I'm not sure yet what they're planning to do. And if you have questions about group gatherings, how to do it well, what are the guidelines, contact Pastor Sean, and he can fill you in. If you want to email him, just email him at Sean, and that's SHAWN, at dcchurch.org, and you can ask him whatever questions you have about group gatherings. All right, let's talk about Advent Conspiracy. You'll recall that leading up to Christmas, we were promoting this Advent Conspiracy, which was a way for us to give generously to support several different organizations. We wanted to support Living Water International, who we have supported through Advent Conspiracy for a number of years now. We also wanted to expand it and support some local groups that are having impact right here in our community, especially during a year when so many of them have had a very difficult time. They've had donations way down, and yet needs have gone up. And you guys have been amazing. I mean, all of us as staff, we have just on a regular basis been, I think, almost shocked at how generous you've been. And I want to say thank you. In total, Advent Conspiracy raised over $40,000. It's just a beautiful thing. Thank you so much. The way that's going to break down, about half of that, $20,000 came in toward Living Water. And then the other local groups, the other charities we want to support, Obria, which provides pregnancy resources for families, and then the faith-based pregnancy resources, and then the group In Faith, and In Faith is working with immigrants in our area. The Love Home, Lilies of the Valley Home, which is a faith-based halfway house for women who are in recovery. Mosaic, which is helping families who are dealing with disability. And then the Sequim Food Bank. Each one of those is going to be receiving $5,500 because of your generosity. And we'll be presenting those checks to those organizations very shortly. And I think we're going to grab Shane, take him in a video camera with us, and then we'll be sharing that with all of you as we are able to bless these groups with your generosity. So again, a big thank you to you all. All right, now, tonight, this is a live program this morning. So our live, and tonight is the dive, the deep dive. We decided to create a program format where we could just delve further into a variety of topics. And so it's going to rotate around between the different staff members. We will each take a week, and it's kind of chef's surprise. We can do whatever we want with our week. I think you're really going to enjoy it. This week, I'll be leading off, and the deep dive tonight is going to be talking about DC Campus 2.0. And I've had a number of you ask me questions about, is anything happening? What's going on? And there actually has been quite a bit that's been happening. Many things are happening much slower than we anticipated because of COVID-19 and how many things have been closed down. But there actually have been a lot of things going on. And so tonight, I'm going to just walk you through all of that. And so I think you'll enjoy finding out how that's going. Next week, Darren Sweeney, our youth director, he's going to be doing kind of a fun interview. He's going to be talking to his good friend, Crazy Rob. And if you tune into that interview next week, I think you'll figure out why Crazy Rob has been dubbed Crazy Rob. But both Darren and Rob are crazy for all the right reasons and doing some tremendous stuff. And so I encourage you, tune in tonight. The program will be on at 7 p.m. this evening, but you can catch it really anytime thereafter. It's just like this live program. Once we've posted it, you can watch it then or later. So tonight, the deep dive on DC Campus 2.0. Next week, Darren Sweeney interviewing Crazy Rob, and I hope that you will make time for both of those things. Well, I think that's it for this week. There's the news and views for the morning, and I trust you have a great day. Again, be praying for our country, and I hope you'll tune in tonight and join me for the deep dive. So until then, God bless.